Can you really increase your height by 5 inches in just 7 days? I mean, you see these wild claims literally everywhere online right now. But is it actually true? Today, we're going to break down the real biological science behind your height and what actually works. Welcome to The Explainer.
Okay, let's dive into this. If you spend any time scrolling online, you've probably seen those crazy ads, right? The miracle syrups, the secret stretching routines promising to add inches to your frame overnight. Well, let me be crystal clear right up front. It is biologically impossible. Period. These claims, they're just deceptive marketing schemes designed to target our natural insecurities. So don't fall for them. Instead of falling for the scams, we need to look at the actual science of human growth. You see, there's no magic pill here. Our height mainly depends on a strict biological formula, which is basically anchored by 3 primary things: genetics, proper nutrition, and good sleep. If you're still in your growing years and your body is actively developing, the right habits can absolutely support your natural growth. But yeah, there is no magic switch you can just flip to override biology.
To really understand your height, you have to understand a massive number, 80%. Studies show that roughly 80% of a person's final adult height is totally predetermined by the genes they inherit from their parents. That is the absolute foundation of your height potential. And it's not just, 1 or 2 tall genes doing all the work. Scientists have actually identified over 12,000 genetic variants scattered across our DNA that all work together to influence how tall we get. It's kind of like a giant puzzle. Basically, think of your genetics as setting the absolute ceiling for your height.
But wait, what about the other 20%? Well, while we obviously can't change the genetic hand we were dealt, we can absolutely optimize this remaining 20%. This chunk is driven entirely by environmental factors during our critical growing years. We're talking proper nutrition, 8 to 10 hours of quality sleep, daily physical activity, and a healthy hormonal balance. These act as the fuel that helps you actually reach that genetic ceiling. If you neglect these, you might fall short. But if you optimize them, you give your body the absolute best possible chance to max out its built-in growth blueprint.
Now, what's really interesting is how that growth actually happens physically. Meet your epiphyseal plates, or as they're commonly known, your growth plates. These are areas of specialized, active cartilage located right near the ends of your long bones, like the ones in your arms and legs. Inside these plates, specific cells called chondrocytes are constantly dividing and multiplying. As the older cells degenerate, your body calcifies them, literally turning them into solid bone. This process pushes the ends of the bone further apart, which is exactly what's happening when your limbs are getting longer. Fun fact for you: an 18th century surgeon named John Hunter actually discovered this whole process just by studying the bones of growing chickens. Pretty wild, right?
But here's the catch. This amazing bone lengthening process does not last forever. There is a strictly limited biological window tied directly to puberty. Let's look at the timeline. Peak growth spurts usually kick off between ages 10 and 13. Then, as teenagers progress through puberty, rising estrogen levels in both boys and girls eventually signal those growth plates to slow down. For most girls, the growth plates completely fuse and turn into solid bone between ages 14 and 16. For boys, this fusion typically happens a bit later, between 16 and 18, though some might see tiny changes up until age 21 when maximum skeletal maturity is reached.
And that brings us to the ultimate truth bomb of this entire explainer. Once those growth plates harden and fuse into solid bone, it is biologically impossible to restart natural bone lengthening. That window is permanently closed. I mean it, no amount of hanging from a bar, no extreme stretching routine, and absolutely no expensive herbal powder or pill can reopen a fused growth plate. Once you reach skeletal maturity, the length of your long bones is locked in for life. No way around it.
So if that's true, why do so many people swear that stretching makes them taller? Well, it actually comes down to a really fascinating daily phenomenon involving your spine. You see, you are actually taller first thing in the morning than you are when you go to bed at night. Throughout the day, gravity literally compresses the fluid-filled discs between your spinal vertebrae. By the evening, you can actually lose up to 1 to 2 centimeters of height, meaning you are literally shrinking as the day goes on. When you sleep or, when you do intense stretching and hanging exercises, you temporarily decompress those discs. It makes you measure slightly taller, sure, but it is purely temporary.
We call this the posture illusion. Now, don't get me wrong, practices like yoga, Pilates, and hanging from a pull-up bar are incredible for your health. They decompress the spine, they strengthen your core, and they fix things like rounded shoulders and a hunched back. By correcting your posture, you allow your body to stand at its absolute maximum natural height, and that can make you look noticeably taller and way more confident. But we just have to be totally clear on this. You are not actually growing your bones longer, you're just fixing your alignment. And this interconnected triad brilliantly illustrates what it actually takes to maximize your height while your growth plates are still open. It requires a holistic system of physical activity, nutrition, and hormones, all working together to support optimal bone health. You can't just, drink a bunch of milk and expect to grow. You need the physical activity to stimulate the bone remodeling, and you need the deep sleep to release the growth hormones that actually utilize the nutrition you're taking in. It is all connected.
So what should you actually do if you want to support your natural growth during those critical years? Let's break it down into 4 science-backed steps. First up, prioritize your sleep. You need 8 to 9 hours of quality, deep sleep every single night, because that's when your body releases the vast majority of its growth hormone. Second, eat a varied diet rich in protein, calcium, and dairy. Think milk, yogurt, eggs, lentils, green leafy veggies, and fruit. Third, get 30 to 60 minutes of physical activity daily. Weight-bearing sports are fantastic for stimulating bone strength. And finally, get outside. Get some daily sunlight. Your body desperately needs vitamin D to actually absorb all that calcium you're eating.
It's also really fascinating to see how traditional medicine perfectly aligns with this modern science. If we look at Ayurvedic practices, doctors across the board agree. Once bones are fused, herbs are not going to lengthen them. However, they highly recommend traditional supports to optimize bone density, joint health, and posture. Herbs like ashwagandha support muscle strength and relieve stress, while a diet including milk, ghee, sesame seeds, and raw ghee provides excellent, highly absorbable natural calcium. And they always focus on strong digestion, or agni, so you actually absorb those nutrients. The whole idea is building a strong, vibrant foundation, not chasing impossible bone growth.
So, the crucial point is this. If your growth is complete, increasing your height is very, very difficult. We just have to accept the biological reality and completely avoid the fake medicines, the magic powders, and the scammers claiming they can give you 5 inches in 10 days. The consensus from both modern pediatric endocrinologists and traditional Ayurvedic experts is exactly the same. Once those plates close, bones cannot increase in length. So focus on your posture, your spinal health, and your overall confidence.
Ultimately, guys, height is just one small fraction of who you are. Think about it. The very gravity holding us to the earth is the exact same force compressing our spines every single day. Maximizing your health and standing tall with good posture will serve you far better than stressing over a few centimeters. If you want more science-based health explainers just like this one, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'd really love to hear from you. Drop down in the comments and let us know, what is your age and height? Thanks for joining me today, and keep standing